So let me take you back to. So if you guys remember, we talked about the estimate and the bid process yesterday. I'm going to go directly into that sheet that summarize everything. Basically, I like this sheet. So here's what your bid summary, estimate summary and bid process, guys. We talked about that your hours are here, Adam. You adjust your hours based on the condition. Then you add the two together. That will get you this one easy. Then you also add more labor for whatever reason that you have. So you add more labor based on adjustment. And that number will be your total man hour for this job, right? That's easy. That's your your estimate summary. And then you allocate a dollar value for your hours, and then you multiply these two by each other, and that will get you this value, right? Get you $1,000 for the project. Then this is your labor. Your material, guys, do the same thing. All the takeoff that you did, Adam, from the Excel sheet that you have, they're going to be in this sheet. And everybody knows that you guys have an Excel sheet that exactly the same. So it pulls all the material there. Then we adjust the material for theft and miscellaneous and small tools and what's not. All these guys are adjustment. Then I think we put $500 for gear or whatever. I think $2,500 for gear. What I told you to put that, guys, and then you add them up. And because Uncle Sam needs some money, so we pay him the taxes and add your taxes here. And gentlemen, this is your total material cost. So I have my total. Can you guys see? I have my total. Labor cost and my total material cost, including the taxes, Adam. Then you add the two together. That's called the prime cost. Your prime cost is including, you add a little bit of direct job cost. We talked about that one. I'm going to put direct job cost direct today in the software. I'm going to be putting all this information for you guys. So I cannot emphasize, guys, this chapter with the sheet that you have, with the softwares that we're going to do, they sync the same information. So please, you understand it once, you're good to go. When you see direct job cost, you're going to see direct job cost later on. We're going to put direct job cost in the software. Okay, with the direct job cost, guys, then we add it. This number that you're looking at, gentlemen, right here, is your estimate prime cost. Or break-even cost. Estimate prime cost. Then you make sure you also add your overhead. We need to add your overhead. So after we add overhead, this is our overhead, guys. And then we add them together. The estimate break-even cost that we talked about yesterday is this value. That's your estimate break-even cost. Your estimate break-even cost. Any comments, guys? Any questions about that? Your estimate break-even cost. Estimate break-even cost. Then, Derek, my friend, you can go right here and add a little bit of profit. And then way at the bottom, I don't know if you guys can see it, it gives you the value right in here. You give you the value right in here. That would be 5,000, which is this value right here. Probably you don't see it the way $5,400. That's the price of this project. This is your estimate summary and bid process and estimate summary. So we did that yesterday, guys. So what I'm going to do today with you, when we went through over this, all this good stuff, the steps that we did, I want to go over the unit price. There's something called unit price. There you go. Is it there? No. Here's the bid proposals, and we went through the bid proposal and checking the bids and what's not. Then unit price. So there's a detailed method of estimating care, and then there's something called unit price. What is a unit price? If you're a developer, and every time, guys, a city comes and you develop homes, 4,000 square foot homes in an area, and every time you develop them, you're going to charge the customer $15,000 to completely install the whole electrical system for this house. And they're going to build 24 units. So you take $15,000, multiply them by 20 units, and that will be your unit price. That's one example of unit price there. The other example of unit price, Adam, is if you have service change. 60 amp service into 100 or 200 amp service, changing to 100 amp service, $1,500, you know. So how many of them do you want? Do you want to go in South Minneapolis or North Minneapolis and change all these from 60 to 100 across this block because we have a, you know, a government help or whatever we need to do or whatever you need, you know, people want to change them. Give them unit price, $1,500. So what is the unit price? Unit price, guys, something that you do more often and you have done it over and over and over again, and give them a value. You can't give a unit price for a hospital, can you? They change a lot. Things that's the same. Changing a service all the time is the same, almost the same. Building, a developer comes in and build multiple units, identical units, right? Give him a value. There is 15 grand for each house that you build. Done. Things like this, you can allocate a unit price for it. In order to come up with the unit price, here's a few things that you need to do. In order to come up with the unit price, you must determine the unit price. How to determine the unit price? You guys have to do a detailed estimating process. You have to do the 9 steps of estimating, from understanding the scope of work, Karen, all the way into the bid proposal. You do the analysis, you add them all up, and at the end you come up with a dollar value, guys, for building this house, right? And then you multiply it by how many units you have. So if somebody asks you, how do you come up with a unit price? You have to have a detailed takeoff. You do the same thing, understand the scope of work, takeoff, extending and totaling, adding profit, adding overhead, and then adding taxes, direct job costs, come up with a bid price, and then of course don't forget the overhead and the overhead and the profit, and that value you can multiply by how many units you have. So that's how you come up with the unit price. Okay, here you go. All these guys steps, I'm going to list them right here. This is the steps that you need to do to come up with a unit price. You guys very familiar with that? A scope of work. What is the unit price going to be? Is it changing a service or is it a temporary power for the building? Bill of material. Then when you do the scope of work, you do the takeoff, you come up with a bill of material for your takeoff for this type of work. And then Adam, my friend, you need to do pricing and laboring. So you do my pricing and laboring, extending and totaling. Then you do extending and totaling. And do not forget, as bidding, it's exactly like as a bidding process. Don't forget to add profit and add overhead. So you need to add profit and overhead for this unit price. So guys, a unit price, exactly when you come up with the price, a unit price, you have to do the detailed estimating method that you have been doing residential and you will be doing a commercial industrial. Then you come up with a value that you give it to the people to use for their own estimate. Am I making sense, guys? That unit price, something that you repeat all the time, but you have, in order to come up with it, you have to do, you have to do the detail. Okay, in addition to the unit, varying job condition. Now we come up with a unit price. So $1,500 to change a service, 60 amp to 100 amp, 122.40. Cool. Now then, that's 1,500. Then, okay, now I'm gonna go do it in Anoka versus the Twin Cities. Right, I'm going to do the service in downtown Minneapolis versus there's no downtown for Richfield, right? In Richfield, that will vary, right? So you're going to add a couple of varying job condition. Material adjustment. You want to adjust your material. There's certain things, guys, that you have to adjust because the price must go up and down. Direct cost, permits and what's not. Don't forget that when you go change it, you have to pull a permit. So make sure you add these to it. Overhead, profit, so labor units adjustment, labor rate per man, material adjustment, overhead. Can you guys see all this? You have to take into consideration when you come up with overhead, unit price. You need to know the following. So you are doing a detailed takeoff in order to come up with Mrs. Unit price. And same thing, Adam. Don't forget to adjust your labor because of certain condition. The rate that you're going to pay for your labor, the material adjustment because of theft or whatever, overhead and profit. So long story short, ladies and gentlemen, when you do a unit price, you are to Before you come up with a value, you have to do a detailed estimating method from the understanding the scope of work all the way to the bid proposal, basically. Am I making sense, guys? What is a unit price? The only difference between a detailed estimate and a unit price, guys, a unit price, after you do the detailed estimate, you repeat it over and over and over again, Adam, because you do more often, more of it. So that's your so-called unit price. Here's an example that we have for you guys. An example of a unit price. The unit price is temporary service. Now, project manager Karen, when you become a project manager, the first thing that you guys walk into an area, you need to have temporary power for the construction site, wouldn't you? Did you guys remember when we went to Parsons, how they have all these temporary power? Did you guys see them? These on wheels and the wheelmen, right? That's similar to this, temporary power. Now you need to charge the people for the temporary power, wouldn't you? And that needed in every job. So this is a smaller contractor. He has a temporary power. His service is 100 amp, guys. Can you see that? Main breaker. I have 12 circuits in a panel, 12 circuits in a panel. One circuit is 50 amp, 240, that must be for welder. Feeding a four-wire receptacle, and I have two 20 amp circuits feeding duplex receptacle. So this is how it looks like. So you, as an electrical contractor, guys, you're going to build this system, and every time you have a site that you want to do construction, Karen, you're going to go stick the temporary service at the site and start your work, you and your other disciplines. How are you going to charge the people for this? Does that make sense? Does that sound like a unit price? Yeah. Why? Because it's repetitive. You do it over and over, almost the same. Did you guys hear me? Repetitive. So in order, how much are you going to charge them for using this system? You have to do the takeoff. So here's what they do, guys. Let's assume that the following, the unit labor adjustment, non-unit, so you're going to do detailed non-unit adjustment. We're assuming that we're going to pay the people $10 labor, adjustment of material and direct job cost, and overhead is these values, and profit is this. These are the assumptions that we're going to be doing in order to come up with the price for this. I need profit, overhead, can you see that's assumption, I'm going to add to it. Then we need the temporary power poles, contain two duplex receptacles. You can see them protected by a GFCI receptacle and a 120 amp, so two receptacles, 20 amp GFCI and 30 amp 480. We'll assume that the people can use them how many times? At least 5 different installations. Now, this is wood, right? When you build it on a wood, what happens every time you take it, put it in a truck, and stick it into a different location? It will bust. So the assumption is, and obviously if you guys saw what Parsons does, they do much better than that. It's all metal, built really good with good cables, so you can use it over and over and over. This is a little thing that you can use it. Because it's wood, every time you, it sits there for a year, guys. So by 5 times, you're looking at some of these jobs might sit, well, not a year, but it might sit for 6 months. So 5 times, you're looking at almost, 5 times, what's 5 times 6? 30? 30 months, like a year and a half or something like that. 2 years, I'm sorry, 2.5 years. What's happening to my math today? Did you guys steal my math? So you're talking about 2.5 years, maybe 3 years you can use it. After that, you're supposed to, let's go change it. Cool? So 5 times we're going to use it. Now we're going to go come up with a unit price for this. So Adam, the first thing you need to do is do a detailed takeoff for this project. We need a weatherhead so we can tie to it. We need an intermediate middle conduit. Remember, we're building this system here. Can you guys see that? We're building this system. So we need a weatherhead here, a EMP conduit, a rigid metal conduit coming in here, right? So we need to bring the power. And the price for them, guys, I need 1 of these, 10 of these, the conduit 10 feet of these. Here's the price per 100. Here's the extension. Here's the labor. Here's per 100. Here's the extension. So we're doing takeoff, extension, and totaling exactly like any other project, right? So what you did with this, you take this number, multiply it by this number, divide it by 100, and that will get you this number. Then you take this number, multiply it by this number, and divide it by 100, and that will get you this number, right? Exactly like we did. No difference. Okay, then we also have meter hub, remember that? And we need wire number 3, 50 feet of wire number 3. Offset nibble panel, we need a panel 12 circuit breaker 100 amp, that's a panel, so here's how much it's going to cost me. I have a breakers, 100 amp breaker, 330 amp breaker, 2 poles, 20 amp breakers, 2 of them. So I have 4 breakers, 130 and 200, one of them is main. Conduit body half an inch, offset nibble, weatherproof boxes, weatherproof cover receptacle, weatherproof cover 30 amps, receptacle 20 amp, receptacle 30 amp, and 2 by 4 by 4 by 40 feet wood member, 2 by 4 by 40 feet wood members to build it. All this, you do the extension, so Adam, it will cost me to build this, gentlemen. Can you guys see that? 7.48, and the price of all the material to build it is $260 and almost 8 hours to build it. Any comments, guys? Any questions? That's how much it's going to cost me to build it. Put it on a wood frame. Any comments, guys? Any questions? Does it make sense doing the takeoff? Adam, does it make sense doing the whole complete takeoff for it? Here's the prices, right? That's what you guys did. Then after that, this is how much it's going to cost me. Then now I build it in the shop. Now I'm going to haul it in my truck and go stick it into the construction site somewhere and use it. You need to charge, right? When you go there, Adam, you need to, now this is called installation details. Oops. This is my installation details. I need a number 6 bare conductor, that's for grounding. And I need a ground rod because you have to ground the surface, guys, right? And I need a ground rod clamp, and I need 2 by 4 by 40 foot wood member. Every time I install it. Travel time, we're adding 1 hour for travel time. Installation labor, I took a very smart young fella, and that will take him 2 hours to stick it. You guys, when you carry that thing, you're going to stick it and stake it, right? Stake that structure and drive a ground rod, Adam, and tie that number 6 to that ground rod. That's what you're going to do. To do this, it will cost me 5 hours to go build that system on the site and $21 material. Am I making sense, guys? First, you build the temporary power in your shop, then you haul it in your truck, go install it on the job site. Part of the installation, Adam, is to stack them, make sure it's physically, mechanically rigid. You have to do grounding and bonding for them. So that's how much it will cost me, guys, to install the system. Then, so that's how much it's going to cost me to install the system. Then you add these two together somehow, and you got yourself that bid, the bid price for that baby. Unit price, my unit price. So unit price, this and that, and what's not unit price. Then you can add them up, and you get yourself your unit price. I don't think we have them here. Okay. So now we have $21 and $260 plus almost 4 hours. Add them, and then you assign a labor. I don't have it here, but you assign a labor for it, guys, and then you come up with a unit price for this labor unit. Add them up, assign a labor, assign profit, and that will get you how much it will cost you. Labor, material, unit price. So the unit price for this, when you add them all up, and when you add them all up, based on the old version that I have, not the new version, I want to give you a number based on the old version. The unit price for this one, unit price is $330. $330, including Adam profit. Every time you go to a job, you will charge $350 for the temporary power. Am I making sense, guys? They call it unit price. So every time Parsons haul that big power, I don't know what their unit price, they charge certain amount to provide power for the other disciplines. Because you guys are providing power for other disciplines too, right? Other people have to use our power to power their equipment too. So that's an agreement with the general contractor. Sometimes, guys, general contractor provide the power, so they have who's going to be installing it? Us. So we get paid to provide power for all the other disciplines there, do the temporary power for the construction site. But the general contract, that will be part of our bid. When you go bid a job, a stadium, part of your bid for the stadium is going to be who's providing temporary power during construction? Us, the contractor, or another contractor is providing. It has to be electrical. The mechanical guy cannot provide it, right? And if there's no power on site, who's providing the generator? If you need a generator to power, right? Who's going to provide the generator and fuel for the generator and troubleshoot the generator? All these have to be taken into consideration. Gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, any comments, any questions, guys, about the unit price? That's it. So detailed, and the reason why I went through it, guys, and I'm harassing you with it because I want to drill it down your brain that it is another takeoff. I can't emphasize, guys, between the lectures and Excel sheet that you have, that's the best estimating learning experience. When you go to the software, guys, you wouldn't learn a lot. It's garbage in, garbage out. You don't know what's happening behind the scene. You don't know what's happening. Here, you see the math. You make math mistakes. You know how it's put together. When you go to the software, you just plug in numbers. You need to know how to use it. But these chapters, guys, and Excel sheet that we have, it teach you the process of estimating, how to add and multiply, why do you add and multiply them, and all this. It's tedious, yes, but it's the best way of learning, I believe. Okay, so that's your unit price. You came up with unit price. So how to determine that's basically what we determined by unit price, gentlemen. Any comments, any questions about unit price? Comments, questions? So what we did, Derek, my friend, is you came up with a unit price for that baby right in here, which is, what did we say, $330? Something like this, $330. Every time you put that baby, install it, you're going to add $330. Now that will be direct job cost. In a real estimate, you throw it as direct job cost, right? At the end, what are you going to recoup this? Because you don't build many of them. You build one and use it 5 times. Another, after 5 times, the assumption is you're going to throw it and build a new one. The assumption. You could salvage some. That would be an extra money that you do, but the assumption is 5 times. Now the ones that Parsons and all those guys have, I don't know what their assumption is. They can pull it to a lot of station guys. They take a lot of abuse as you move them. A lot of abuse. After a while, the wheels don't work on them. So you might either go take them to the shop, fix them, or basically build a new one. Any comments, ladies and gentlemen? Any questions? It's a crime against the National Electric Code not to understand estimation. Is that right? Okay, so what I'm going to do with you, my friends, I'm going to give you 10 minutes exactly, and then we're going to flip into McCormick. We're going to, when we go to McCormick, Karen, we're going to do the following, and I would like you to follow with me step by step, please. I can't emphasize underline the word please. We're going to go assign labor for our project, the commercial project, guys. We're going to put the labor that we're going to do, Adam, the burden, that we're going to put burden, the benefits for those guys. We're going to assign the rate, how much we're going to pay our apprentices and journeymen on this job. What else do we need to assign? The square foot of the building, we need to assign that one. And I would like to give you guys a couple of dollars for direct job costs and a couple of things for that, and do extension. So we're going to go to McCormick. I know you guys have not done a whole lot yet, but we are going to do the extension and the totaling, and show you the big picture. 10 minutes is good enough? Cool. But then we'll go from there. Thank you.